get into it this afternoon. And of course, we're starting from the president's speech. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu this morning addressed Nigerians on Democracy Day for the second time since he assumed office on the 29th of May 2023. In his speech, the president honored heroes of democracy. He also rallied Nigerians to support his administration's efforts to strengthen the economy, and he informed citizens that a bill for a new minimum wage will be sent to the National Assembly very soon, amongst other things. All right, we're going to be taking it one by one, all of the takeaways from the president's speech. Once again, it's The Buzz live on Galaxy Television, and we are today analyzing Nigeria's 25 years of unbroken democracy. Let's take a very quick 1-2 minutes, go listen to the president's speech. We'll come back right after. Stay with us.
My fellow Nigerians, let me begin by congratulating all of us for witnessing the celebration of another Democracy Day today, the 12th day of June 2024. This year also marks our nation's 25 years of uninterrupted democratic governance. On this day, 31 years ago, we entered our rites of passage to becoming a true and enduring democratic society. Going through this passage was hard and dangerous. During the fateful 6 years that followed, we fought and struggled for our natural rights as human beings, put on this earth by the divine hand of our Creator. We lost great heroes and heroines along the way. In this struggle, the winner of June 12, 1993 presidential election, Chief MKO Abiola, the most significant symbol of our democratic struggle, his wife, Kudirat, General Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, and Pa Alfred Iwani, amongst others, sacrificed their very lives. They bravely surrendered their fortunes so that our nation might have a better one. Let us honor the memories of Chief Anthony Enahoro, Chief Abraham Adesanya, Commodore Dan Sulaiman, Chief Athon Wanko, Chief Chukwuemeka Ezeve, Admiral Ndibusi Kanu, Chief Frank Kokori, Chief Bola Ige, Chief Adekunle Ajasin, Chief Gani Udaudu, Chief Ayo Fasami, Chief Gani Fawemi, Chief Olabi Idrojaye, Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti, Chima Ubani, and others who have transited to higher realm.
All right, thanks for staying with us. We apologize we cannot take the full extent of that speech. It's about 22 minutes long, and of course we don't have time to do that. Just for us, to pick on the very important things in that speech. Well, just to run through it, the president touched on, first of all, he started the speech by paying tribute to the heroes of democracy, and then he went on to acknowledge the role of activists and also the media in the push for democracy in Nigeria. He also talked about democracy as a way of life, and then he went on to talk about economic reforms in the course of these years, and of course the recent labor struggle, especially for the new minimum wage. He also talked about that, and then he talked about preservation of our democracy, and lastly a call to action. So we take them one by one as far as time will permit us to go, but let us begin from where the president started, which is a tribute to the heroes of democracy. He mentioned a lot of names. Of course, top on that list is the late MKO Abiola, and then he went on to mention his wife, Yar'Adua, and so on and so forth. Now, in the 25 years that we have achieved democracy in Nigeria, vis-a-vis the struggle of all of those people mentioned by the president for democracy in Nigeria, would you say that democracy has actually delivered good governance, good leadership to the Nigerian people, and also in the good memory of those who actually fought for Nigeria's democracy?
Well, even that 25 years, if you want to trace it to 1993, 31 years, because June 12, 1993, metamorphosed into what we have. In fact, that was the reason why in 1999, no other geopolitical zone contested for the presidency. At that particular time, when you have AD, you have APP, you have PDP, so that to make sure that you have Obasanjo on PDP ticket, you have APP, you have somebody from the south, then you know that we have Falaye. At the same time, they have to merge at one point. But one thing that you should be able to know is that at that particular time, looking it from 1999 till date, and look at what democracy really stands for, the meaning of democracy, I can boldly say that we have not even done 5% of what democracy represents.
5%?
Yes, because there are some certain countries that have not used 25 years in democracy, and they've seen the dividend of democracy. One of the things that make democracy differ from any other system of government, not that we've seen, okay, look at Saudi Arabia using monarchical system of government. Look at the UK, they have to use monarchy with politics. They join it into together, not to be absolute monarchy, partial monarchy that they are using. Then we have some certain country like Iran, Afghanistan, that they use totalitarianism. Even look at Kenya, that looks like a politics, that looks like a democracy, but it's still totalitarian. What people want to see, what makes democracy different, is because of the freedom. It's because of that is the only thing. That does not mean other system of government cannot give what people really want. Yeah, but that freedom, are we seeing the freedom? From 1999, we know the number of journalists, we know the number of protesters that have been killed, that have been injured. Particularly when something of course happened, we know what happened at different point in time in terms of freedom. Then another thing again is this: if you want to look at the dividend and what this hero stands for, I have said it on here before, and I'm going to repeat it today. Chief M.K. Abiola, there is no wealthy man that have reached him, even till date. Not that his riches is so huge like that. He doesn't have refinery at that particular time. He doesn't have many aircraft at that particular time. But impact on the people. I sitting down here, I've said it before. What make my secondary school to be easier for me? Because at that time I attended expensive secondary school, and I cannot afford it. And often for that particular matter, I just traveled to Abeokuta to have an holiday, and where we are, they said they are doing tests for scholarship. I said, let me partake. I put email, e-boss number of Lagos here. And I did, I don't even know, I just did for fun and whatever. They said it down here. I was being paid scholarship. Yes, I was being paid scholarship. Not only just scholarship to pay your school fees. I have a pocket money every month. I go to a night post in Shomolu to go and be picking it. That is the impact we are talking about. How many of our politicians now, even wealthy people that we can say, he has an impact. Not even from
directly
politics.
On the people.
Don't forget, Abiola has not even owned any political position before he died. But look at the years they are having impact. That one is one. Then two, freedom that we all yearn for. What differentiates the time of Abacha, the time of Ibrahim Babangida as a military president to the one of is that freedom. How free are we? How free are we? Then another thing again, if you look at the infrastructure that has happened during the military era, can we compare it with what happened in the 25 years? Did you see how much politicians are using to build roads? Which even the road that they are even building roads of 2 years, 3 years. Thank God that builder is here. 2-3 years. Then we can still go to our community and see the road of 1976. I think I know the one of Orilegbe very, very well in Abeokuta. Under Abafemi Ode local government. I know that one for sure. That road is still standing 73. Anybody that knows Orilegbe from Obafemi Ode town, just go straight. That road is still standing 76. So then if you look at education, many of us we know free education at that particular time. If you are bringing a scholarship is there, what is our scholarship board doing today within 25 years? Do you know the number of people that went? Look at Dora Okuyele. He said from primary school to PhD level, she did not pay a dime. Just to know what, even majority of all these politicians, any one of them that is above 50, they got free education. So how is free education? I have a son that wants to enter UI as I speak. Is in UI as I speak doing verification. Do you know how much I'm going to pay for tuition for studying pharmacy? When some people pay almost 5 naira, 10 naira, and they will still live in the hostel, they're still being fed by the school. How have we really done? Dividend is what matters to people, not even the system of government. For us, democracy day, thank God we are still alive. Thank God this is the first time I'm seeing president, at least the first 3 paragraphs, speak to my conscience.
Okay.
In terms of mentioning those people that have fought for us. Our heroes that have fought for democracy. And thank God that even we, at that particular time, we are part of those people that even protested at that particular time in 1993. Thank God we are still alive. And I thank God that this time around, he didn't put politics in those. And to be fair to him, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was part of those people that fought in 1993 also. We need to put that one into record. Because when he said, even including me, and he said he's the beneficiary, he became the president and he became the governor. It's because of his struggle in 1993. He became a senator because of that particular struggle. Even one of the things that make him to be president today, forget about other political whatever, that particular fame he got. We couldn't have do another east from that particular. So
okay, so he's still leveraging on that.
It's very, very important that he needs to do more. Okay. What these people, what this Baba, what they stood for, what NIRO stood for, what Chief MK Wabiola stood for, Abraham Adesanya, Gani Daudu, all these people, Makini Ade, all these Babas, what they stood for fairness, they stood for justice. Have you ever think of it? Chief Obafemi Awolowo is from Ogun State. He's from Ijebu. Is the political head of the Southwest at that particular time. How come you choose Ibadan to be the seat of power, not Ijebu? All
right, we'll come back to that. Thank you so much, Mr. Adegbenro. All right, I'll put the same question to you, Mr. Shoibi. In the 25 years we've had democracy in Nigeria, do you think the heroes, those who pushed for this democracy, will be turning in their graves today, seeing how things are, or do you think they'll actually be pleased that the struggle, the fight they fought, is being represented properly, in Nigeria of today?
Well, personally, I would say that if I were to be part of those heroes, I would have been mightily disappointed with how far
we've come.
Looking at those who were trusted with opportunities and power, how they've been able to transit that power into beneficial opportunities for the people. Because just like Mr. Adegbenro earlier said, democracy is a system of government that talks about leadership and governance for the people. It focuses attention on the people. But today, we are seeing our political class focusing attention on themselves and their welfare and putting the people at the far side of things. You look at the budget, look at how much was spent to renovate the vice president's accommodation. Look at how many persons that amount of money can put through school, how many hospitals it can build, just one person to sleep, to live with his family while he's serving us. Don't forget, we were the reason why he's there. But the people that were put in there are living in abject poverty, in tattered houses they can hardly feed. And that brought me to the former president of Libya, Gaddafi, who said he's never going to own a house in Libya until when all Libyans already have a house. How many of our political class can say today that they are watching after the constituency that they are representing, the state they are governing, or the country they are governing? They are buying luxury vehicles for themselves, living in luxury apartments, whereas the people they are governing are living in abject poverty. So the purpose of democracy, what democracy was supposed to bring to Nigerians, was supposed to be comfort and support. But today, we are seeing a lot of people in pains and in hunger. There is massive hunger in the land.
True that.
My team were at Ojota last week to do a Feed a Friend project where we're distributing food, you won't believe the numbers that were waiting. What are we distributing? Small packs of food. But the number, if I brought 100 bags of rice, trust me, it won't do.
Go back with the grain.
You understand? And these people, even when they shared palliative for them to distribute to Nigerians, they stopped it. So you can see the level of selfishness and greed that has now become the main reality of our leadership. Now, let's come back to bringing democracy into what will impact us. A system of government is one thing. Our structure as a nation is another thing. Now, our population has been galloping, and I keep saying it. We are not going to experience any meaningful impact if we do not really call ourselves to a table and say, these are our plans as a nation for the next 10 years. I did an analysis with a couple of people recently, and I said, the UK had only increased their population by 17 million in the last 50 years. Nigeria has increased population in the last 30 years, since 34 years now, since 1980, we've increased by about 160 million. As at 1980, the population of Nigeria was about 55 million. We were almost at par with the United Kingdom. But today, the population of Nigeria, anyway, not confirmed, but saying it's about 200 million.
Averagely, yeah.
Averagely, 200 to 20 million is what we're talking about. Whereas the UK is still...
That might even be a conservative figure.
That's a conservative
because we don't really know.
We don't really know. So you see a part of the country saying we can continue to give birth as much as we have. When you look at the contribution to the national purse
from that part of the country,
you find out that it's very low. But then we want to share our resources equally. So beyond choosing that democracy as a system of government, we must also look at it. Does it merit? Is this kind of governance style of government that we need?
That works for us.
That works for us as a people. We need to ask ourselves. Democracy is good. It has its merits and its demerits. But then, is that what is most suitable for Nigerians? Are we going to get the dividends of democracy if we are using it? The structure that enables democracy to work, where we picked it from, what is that structure like? We borrowed a democracy, a style of governance from the US, United States of America. Even the United States of America, now, right now they are having issues with that system of government. They are battling with it. But then, look at their structure. They are a federating state. And look at how the federating states contribute to the national purse. Every state has their own contribution and how they fare, their laws, their police, and everything. Is that what works in Nigeria? So when you borrow the system of government and you say this is what is good, we saw how it's impacting people in the US, we felt it would work for us. But you didn't do the whole complete cycle. You only pick the system of government without ensuring that the structure
comes with it
works for the system. So you are still going to find out that since 1999 that we've come into this system of government, we have just been parabolating. There hasn't been any meaningful improvement in the lives of the people. People have been going poorer and poorer. And you can look at the statistics. From 1999 to today, we have been going down, and the number of people who are falling below the minimum poverty line are increasing by the day. So that tells you that we need to look at the basis and the foundation. This system of government, is this what is most suitable for high establishment or not? Then we can take it off from there.
Well, thank you so much. Fantastic analysis. All right, I was going to go straight into the role of activists and the media, but you sort of like match that, when you were talking about a tribute to heroes, you talked about freedom and all that. So let's move to economic reforms. All right. In the course of these 25 years of democracy, the president mentioned and also acknowledged the economic challenges Nigerians and Nigeria is facing at the moment. But then he also talked about ongoing reforms that will create a stronger economic foundation for future growth, and development in the country. All right, in 25 years, the reforms so far by previous administration before this one, what gains can we take away from them? And also where we are at now, as a country, as a people. Do you think Nigerians still have the patience to wait for long years of more economic reforms, taking it from where we're coming from?
Let us be frank with ourselves. From 1999 till date, the only president that have good economic standing is only Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. People can hate him for anything they hate him for. But during his 8-year tenure, don't forget, Within the first 4 years, Obasanjo cleared all our debt. You remember?
Yes, I do.
Good. 2, go and look at the economy team and economic policy of Obasanjo. Fine, he was dallying with United Nations, with IMF, but he used his own personality and the personality of his financial cabinet members to make sure that all our debt, because the administration of Obasanjo believes that we cannot move forward if we are still servicing a lot of loans. And that was the reason why he brought people like Okonjo-Iweala and all those stuff that have a personality with the World Bank. He brought them, Ekwekwesile and Co. He brought them, brought Soludo, not because they are the best in the country, but because of their exposure and what they work for. They've consulted for World Bank, they've consulted for this abroad, and you know that these people are the one we are owing. So what is this? Let me use Omonola Aronsino, and that thing succeeded. Then one thing there is this: after his own administration, what the economic policy of every government, like the one of Yar'Adua was trying to stem some things. And that's why you see his administration within 2 years. What it focused on, it focused on our output. And that was what metamorphosed into giving succor to those boys at the creek. That if you have much oil, and that's what we base on, we can use it to develop agriculture and other things. Don't forget that within his own 2 years too, farmers also enjoy, because at that particular time, they have a seedling direct to the farmers. So after that particular period, when Jonathan came into being, there are a lot of restructuring where they said, okay, instead of giving seedling to the farmer, you give them phone. So when fertilizer is available, but there are some people that are not farmers, that they are the one gate crasher, that they will collect everything. So, but the problem we have is that the economic policy from Yar'Adua's period down to this period, we're focusing on throwing money as Nigerians. That's why you'll be hearing trader money, you'll be hearing something into the account of the poor,
conditional cash.
They throw it as money. They don't throw it at what the value that the money will bring. And that's why you see that even our NLC, whatever, what are they fighting for? The increment in money, Abby? It's increment in money. Majorly, that is the thing. But they don't focus on the value that is going to bring. So all our economists, brilliant minds, what they put their model on is the way to really bring people out of poverty. They think it's money, but no. That is why you see, if you go and see definition of poverty, he didn't talk about money. He didn't talk about money. He talked about food. He talked about shelter,
basic necessity.
And their basic necessity. Money is not even included, and that is why we have problem. And that is why you see the majority of our economists, what they do. They go and look at the models in textbooks, not in reality. And where they have structure, that they've done that text, that the text is for those who have structure. Okay, now, let's look at the data. How many are we in Nigeria? Even the president of this country cannot mention it. All those ones they are using. And one thing there is that I was told that in statistics, when you don't have constant variables, you'll be getting different answers. Even in simultaneous equations, before they will ask you to look for y, x and y, you first of all get x. X is going to lead you into y. But in Nigeria, we want to look x and y together, but x is not constant because we don't have the value of x. So if you continue bringing our economic policy basically on money, that's why you see that, look at from Jonathan era till now, you discover that the economic team of all these presidents, when you want to talk about, okay, how can you take people away from poverty, the only thing they are going to give, throw money at them.
All right.
So by the time we continue in that time, compared to even SAP at that time, structural adjustment program of Babangida, is still better. It's still better than all the ways they are even channeling. Don't even mention the palliative. There is no way any government can share palliative in this country.
And it will go right.
There is no way. Because we don't have the structure that can do that. We don't have the data that can do that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adegbenro. Just to buttress what you have said, I mean, the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari kept emphasizing on lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. But the story today is different. Maybe because it was all pushed forward using money. that never really got to the people. All right, so, but you are a certified economist. So let's talk about, you know, the economic reforms of all these years. Is it that the policies are bad? Or is it the implementation that is bad? Or is it the Nigerian people that do not recognize the gains of the reforms so far? What exactly is the issue?
So the Nigerian scenario has multiple phases, and I'm happy we are having this conversation today. I talked about the population phase, which is a challenge that any country, at a point China had to put a hold on their population growth, just for them to be able to plan long term. For Nigeria, most of the policies that we do are basically interventionist policies that address immediate issues. But you know, if averagely between 2019 and 2023, Nigeria had increased by almost about 40 million. So that tells you that every year we are having increase in population up to the tune of about 10 million. Imagine the policy you are going to bring into the, you know, that will address the challenges of 10 million. Is it road? So whatever policy you are putting in must be projected for at least 10 years. But are Nigerians willing to wait for any political reform to yield effects in 10 years? The president knows he has a 4-year term. He's looking at what can he do now. That people will say he's doing very well.
Do something, yeah.
So he's not going to look at a long-term reform. He will look at a short-term reform. And short-term reforms have their, it does come with their own restrictions.
There's an expiry date.
There's an expiry date. And by the time the reform is even coming into effect, the parameters has changed because the population number that was used to calculate the reform had actually become old. 2019, we were about 185 million. Yeah. Now we are talking about 220. By the time, I think a body, an international body said by maybe 2030,
by 2030,
we'll hit 250 million.
Yes.
But I can tell you by 2027, we'll be 250 million already.
Yes.
At the rate at which we are going. So that tells you that we need to look at long-term reform. That's one. We must look at revenue generation. Yeah. One of the challenges that this government has, or all the governments have experienced, is execution of their budgets. So if you check the budget execution status of 2023 budget, you find out that we are still around between 60 and 80%. We have not fully executed all the budgetary allocation because the money was not there. There's no money to execute. So you can have fiscal policy, you can have economic policy or monetary policy, but if you don't have money to execute your fiscal policies, it will become redundant after some time. You'll be at a standstill. You'll be at a standstill. Yeah. So you need resources to do it. But where is the money? Now, when the money is secured, borrowed at any cost, some people still stay somewhere to steal it. Yeah. Some people get contract awarded to them. They don't execute any project. And nothing happens. And nothing happens. So we need to find a way to ensure that our problems, our challenges, we understand it and let the people understand. And that's why I was saying on TV sometimes ago that our political class must be willing to tell Nigerians the truth. When I told people that the minimum wage, asking for increase in salary is not the way forward, that the impact of that salary increase will be far more than the increase. A lot of people were shouting at me that I don't understand. I said no. I know that when you increase purchasing power without also increasing productivity of a nation, what's going to happen is if you have 10 oranges available for sale and you have 10 naira in 10 hands to buy it, and now this man is saying that he has just 5 remaining and 10 people are still standing, he will double the price.
Inflate the price.
Anybody that wants to get to pay for it.
You understand? So the private sector who are selling will automatically adjust their prices. Give it 6 months. All the increase we have in purchasing power will disappear within no time. And that is it. We are back to square one. And we now begin to say, oh, this 100,000 cannot suit us anymore. We need 500,000. Because at that point, the price of things are adjusted. So we need to look at our problems holistically and not just addressing a particular issue. We need to be broad.
Let me interject here, Mr. Shoyebi. While talking earlier, you mentioned the fact that we need to sit down together and identify our problems so that we know. Does Nigeria not know what its problems are? already? After how many years, first of all, of independence, we're now counting 25 years of democracy. Do we still not know what our problem is? Is that
So,
what we're saying?
Unfortunately, we have a population where we have a larger percentage of the country who are also ignorant. I'm sorry to use that word. A lot of people went to school, but they didn't really understand. You hear some people who call, when you hear the academic, qualification they hold and what they say, you wonder
what their thinking process is.
You understand? And it falls back on our educational system. A lot of us do not know basics about all these things, and we need a national orientation agency to be able to sensitize people and orientate people about governance, about their rights. A lot of people do not even know their councillor. They don't know their chairman. So where you have a society where ignorance thrives, people are going to walk and act and do things based on emotions. So when politicians will be able to twist you based on emotions, someone will throw something that will, So a lot of people believe they know the problem of Nigeria. In fact, call anyone, they know the problem of Nigeria. But by the time they begin to put that problem into perspective, you find out that they really, really do not know those problems. They don't know the problem. A lot of people can talk about problems. Yes, we know all those problems, but do we know the solution?
How to go about it?
So we need to go to the foundation, ensure that our educational system ties into what our industry needs. And when people go through common primary school in the UK, most people you see, they don't go beyond college.
High school.
If you go to college, you are even in high school. The minute you have high school, that is it. But when you hear this high school graduate talking, you know that he knows those things. And an average secondary school person in Nigeria, give him primary 5 exam. In fact, some of us who are also in the industry, give us some assessment and you'll be wondering what is happening. So we need to ensure that our educational system is top notch, is up to the standard. Mr. President cannot do any policy that will address 4 years. People are saying they want to do assessment for 1 year. I said there is no assessment. The first 1 year is to talk about plans, is to talk about reforms, policies, and all those things. How do we want to understand the problem?
First,
the handover note they gave to you was cooked. You need to get in and understand. Now 1 year is enough for you to understand the problem. Then you now begin to talk about how do you address this? What can you do? I saw that they linked Lagos to Kano rail. So if we have that rail line, can we talk about increasing that rail line to double so we can ensure that our fuel, our tankers don't go by the roads anymore? They go through the rail. You understand? They have the Calabar rail line now that is going to actually access, the south-south, which is really, really good. So if you have the rail line along that corridor as well, that will help, so a lot of things can be done, but it's going to take time. And the Nigerians need to, be patient with all these things. Apart from that, a lot of Nigerians also need to become responsible. If you know that you cannot afford 2 children, do one that you can afford. Don't do 5. Don't say, Ọlọ́run ló fún yàn lọ́mọ. Ọlọ́run ló fún yàn lọ́mọ. But you will be responsible. And now that you are now struggling to take care of those kids, don't be blaming government for not meeting that responsibility. We try to throw responsibility at people who don't deserve it.
All right.
It's not our responsibility.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shoibi. I know you want to add to that.
Well, for me, one thing about those people in government, they are the major problem. I agree with Mr. Shoibi. If somebody has a budget of 3 trillion, and half of the money is already siphoned, what will the half do? Out of that half, those civil servants, contractors, godfathers of the contractors, they will butcher it. What remains? That one is one. If we don't fight corruption in every facet of our democracy, from local government to federal government, we are just joking.
To civil service.
No, those ones are deities that are inherent in every tier of government. They are in the local government, they are in state, they are in federal. They are deities that we need to worship. But anybody that will come out and uproot them, that person must be deaf and dumb. And that is why I said that in Nigeria, we need leaders that will be deaf and dumb. Deaf and dumb in the sense that he will hear when he wants to hear. He will see when he wants to see. But when he don't want to see, he will just close his eyes. What I mean is that when you want to talk about something that will develop us, something that will have values to Nigeria, you want to listen to you, irrespective of where you are. But when you want to siphon Nigeria, and you now stole money, EFCC now cash you, you will now call president, you will just look like deaf and dumb. And that is the thing. Then another thing again is this, look, basic amenities. Even in Nigeria today, if you have 2 kids, with this poor basic amenities that we have, it's going to be very difficult. Mr. Joebi, primary school, secondary school, it's supposed to be free. Yeah. Yes or no? Now, I could recall when I was doing my own jam to enter tertiary institution, how much I pay, how much is down today. There is no UTME. During our own time, you do common entrance, you do G2, you do federal entrance.
All paid for.
All paid for. Now, who is paying for what? Then, at that time, primary health center, that's where they born all of us. It's not even general hospital, primary health center. How many children can be born in general hospital now, as we speak? Then you still have to pay. In that primary health center, you pay for everything. You pay for syringe, you pay for this. At that time, it's free. I could recall in my secondary school, the best secondary school in Nigeria, CMS Grammar School. There is a primary health center inside my. No, it's the first secondary school. Nobody can.
I thought you said the best. I was asking till date. Go ahead.
Okay.
I digress.
Will you believe that primary health center in my primary school, basically for us, not for people outside you.
Yeah.
For us, primary health center. And because we are only boys.
We had that too in my primary school.
By the time you look at it now,
in the school compound.
So where we are now going is this. I know Nigerians have their own problem. The major problem, Nigerians are easy to lead. But the kind of leadership problem that we have, if we don't get it right. So anytime you see some people laying emphasis on leadership problem, some people say, hey, what about those leaders? It's no. It starts from when they are not even leaders, when they are even followers. Some of us are bad followers too. We don't follow the rules. We want to cut corners. So what is important there is that we need to get our leaders right. And that is why Nigerians that are complaining now, Tinubu is bad, governor is bad, you have the opportunity to elect the one you want. You fail to utilize that particular problem. After next 4 years, now 3 years, we are going to have another election. We pray that you have the same courage that you are using now, particular, because we have the chance. It's a democracy. You have to vote. So if you don't vote, and that's the thing, and you must make sure your vote counts. And that's one of the things that we need to do. In the last 20-something years, we should not even talk about our election. As I say it, 1993 general election is still better than all the election we've done till date. Anybody that wants to contest will contest it. From 1993 general election is still better than all our election till, because at that time nobody will say fairness, in terms of everything. And, okay. It's not that somebody will say because you are not from a particular state you should not vote.
Okay.
But they will say tout will stand in front of polling unit. What is your name? Don't even come here. It doesn't happen in 1993. We witnessed it and we saw what happened.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Adegbenro. Thank you so much. Report that some protesters this morning actually, they stormed the Ikeja under bridge in Lagos to, of course, mark today's Democracy Day. However, there was a heavy security presence because there was policemen, police officials literally everywhere in Ikeja up until Allen. It took me close to an hour to get from Ikeja under bridge to Allen, to my workplace this morning, a journey of less than 10 minutes. All right, so because there's police everywhere and then movement is restricted, there's traffic, there's all of that. All right, there's a video of that trending online showing the protesters coming out, chanting solidarity songs, and of course carrying placards and banner. And some of them, the placards read something like, let the poor breathe, all right? And they're talking about payment of a living wage as against the minimum wage to all Nigerian workers, which leads us to the next point, which is on labor relations as contained in the president's speech, all right? He talked about the National Assembly getting a new minimum wage bill soon, which will be enshrined in the law for the next 5 years or even less. That's according to the president. You already have talked about how increasing the minimum wage might not actually solve the problem on ground. But for a lot of Nigerians, an increase in the wage sort of to them means that, okay, there is hope in the horizon. Because as it is now, a lot of Nigerians can barely feed, and you and I can testify to that. So quickly, in 2 minutes each, Let's talk about that very quickly.
Well, since they want to go through that route, presidency need to negotiate very well. I'm telling you, the amount that if somebody is negotiating 400,000 from you and you are now saying 62,000, you have not even reached halfway mark.
They've said 250.
So now, no, they brought it down. They brought their own down. Government has not shifted.
Yeah,
so it's important they should meet in the middle. Then another thing again is this: what will have cushioned the effect? Government is not ready to do it, and that is it. If every workers that are working for government, leave all of us that are in private, will sort ourselves out. But those who put people in public, how could level 13, 14 will not have house to stay? At least house scheme for them. They will reduce the number of us that are still looking for where to stay. Then another thing is the area of transportation. How come it's very easy for them to move from their house down to where? Leave all of us in private, we will sort ourselves out. But those in public, by the time you cater for them, at least they are minus us that are not in public. I think that is the thing. Government should do more. Government is doing more to the political appointees, to themselves, than doing it to the civil servant. If you want to get enough productivity, I mean positive one from these people, when you pay them well, when you make sure that their life is okay, in terms of they have a place to sleep, they have movement of goods and services, either from work or whatever, then we can tax them and measure the kind of what they give us in terms of the output. But if we still stay like this, 62,000 naira, that cannot even go to Elepo market and buy yam and buy pepe, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Devine.
So, for me, I believe that our political class should actually be earning salary too.
Yeah.
Their salary should be based on minimum wage.
I agree.
100%. I mean, the fact that you are coming to serve out of interest, so there shouldn't be any form of favority to you coming to serve us. We really do not. We believe that you have interest in Nigeria. So why are we paying you those extravagant? Why are we buying renewed vehicles every 4 years?
Yes.
If you buy a brand new car today, it can last for 10 years. So it can last for at least 8 years. But you see that they will collect furniture allowance, they will collect vehicles, they will collect this, all of those allowances. So, and these are laws that were enacted. So can Nigerians actually participate? And what I expect Labour, the NLC should be doing is saying that I'm twisting the government to ensure that all these our political class are actually placed on minimum wage. That should be our protest. We should be protesting that our House of Rep members, our state House of Assemblies, our senators should be placed on minimum wage. Look at it. How many hours are they spending in the chambers?
2 days in a week.
As we speak now, they are recessed till 2nd of July.
Some senators,
about
22
no, one bill like this for 1 year.
So why are we paying them?
That's just an aside.
So let's address those issues. That's one. When you talk about ability to live, Mr. Devine said it. Transportation, feeding, housing,
shelter.
Those are the basic necessity.
Yes.
Even if you pay these laborers 250,000 today, trust me, in 1 year, that money is gone.
No, you cannot rent a single room. You can only rent it 250 in Agege.
Do you understand? So we should be addressing how can people access mortgage to get accommodation from government. How can people access mortgage? We now have local manufacturing companies for vehicles. Can people, a civil servant, go to GAC, and access a brand new vehicle and pay for the next 25 years or 20 years? Installment. How do we ensure that prices of goods items, because people are taking advantage, unfortunately, undue advantage in the market, can we regulate those prices and ensure that prices do not skyrocket?
I apologize, but I have to cut it short at this point. Thank you so much, Mr. Shoebi.